Well, hello, friends, and welcome to Week 18 in the NFL. I'm your host, the Sports Swami, and we have some exciting picks for this weekend's games. We're changing up the format this week. We hope you like it. It's going to have some added features and a little bit of parlay betting at the end, so stay tuned and watch the entire video. And if you feel so inclined, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us out. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers before the end of the season, so please take the time and subscribe. It's free. Before we begin with this week's picks, let's see how we finished up in Week 18. Week 18 was not a great week for us. There were a lot of tough games to call. The fact that people quit on the season or put in their backups made it particularly difficult. For Week 18, we finished with 11 wins and 5 losses. Not our greatest week. The most difficult game for us was the Minnesota-Detroit game. We felt like Detroit had the edge. They were tired, they were coming off of a short week, and we thought that Minnesota really wanted this game. However, it does look like Sam Darnold turned into a pumpkin again. Sam's been known to do this for years. He'll have a spurt where he's a great quarterback for about 5 games, and then he just sort of goes south. And you can see that the defense that Detroit was throwing at him on Sunday night made him look like a deer in the headlights. He held on to the ball and held on to the ball until he got sacked numerous times during that game. It really makes us worry about Minnesota going forward, and you'll see that in our picks later in this video. Another concerning game in terms of the playoff picture was Chicago at Green Bay. That should have been a piece of cake for Green Bay, and it turned out to be a bit of a disaster, so we lost on that game as well. And that game makes us worry about Green Bay going forward. Our Swami picks for the week were 5 and 3. Not terribly good, but again, Week 18 is very difficult to call. In terms of our scorecard for the entire season, out of 272 games, we ran with a 69.3% win rate. Didn't quite get to 70%, but we're pretty proud of that record. That being said, we have a lot of stuff going on for the playoffs, and we want to take you to our Wildcard Picks right now. We're going to do the Wildcard Picks a little bit differently. We have 2 models. One I call the Swami model, which is my original long-term way of picking the games. This has been accurate for about 70% for many years. I'm going to introduce something new into the Wildcard Picks, and that is the Swami AI-enhanced picks. You'll see how that turns out. I'm going to compare both systems, and you can make the decision, and I'll even give you a parlay play as we wrap it up. Under the Swami model, our first game up are the Steelers going to Baltimore. The Steelers won the first meeting. Baltimore won the second meeting. And if you look at the trends, Baltimore is on a roll, and the Steelers are kind of fading back. And for the Steelers, I actually think that Russell Wilson is doing okay, but I think that George Pickens has really fallen back. There were a number of times in last week's games where George Pickens should have caught the ball was right in his hands, and he dropped it. Freiermuth did the same thing, so I think Russell is getting the ball to them at the right time, but the receivers have to catch the ball. That might have been a function of the cold, but it's going to be cold and wet again in Baltimore. So I do anticipate Baltimore winning this game outright and recommend taking Baltimore on the money line. The next game up is going to be a doozy. That's the Minnesota Vikings traveling to the Los Angeles Rams, and after the Sunday night debacle, the Vikings don't inspire much confidence. The Rams rested their starters, and they're at home. Their defense has been improving. It's not as good as Minnesota's, but we are concerned about Minnesota going forward. This is going to be a hard-fought game, and as you see in our models, it's not crystal clear. We recommend taking the Vikings over the Rams on the money line. Next game up are the Los Angeles Chargers traveling to the Houston Texans, and we think this is going to be a tough game. However, we do think the Chargers will prevail, and Harbaugh will be taking them to the next level in the playoffs, and we recommend taking Los Angeles on the money line. The next game up is going to be a bit of a heartbreaker. We've got the Denver Broncos traveling to the Buffalo Bills, and we'd really like to see more of the Broncos in the playoffs. However, we do think the Bills are going to be rested and they're going to be ready to play and just provide too much for the Denver Broncos to handle. We recommend taking the Bills on the money line. The next game up will be concerning if you're a Packers fan. We don't see the Packers improving. We wonder about the health of Jordan Love and some of his receivers. Philadelphia really got a good rest last week. I think they're going to come back strong, and we recommend taking Philadelphia on the money line. The last game up are the Commanders traveling to Tampa Bay, and we expect this to be a very close game. And if you look at our model, the numbers are statistically irrelevant. It looks very, very close. However, we have to pick a side, and we do think that Tampa Bay will wind up winning this game on the money line. Okay, those are the Swami picks for the week. However, we have included a new feature, which is our Swami AI enhanced model, and you'll see the games that toggle off of that. I've got them listed below. You can make your own decision on which way you want to go. And in the first game, the AI model predicts Baltimore to win on the money line. The second game is a little bit different. The AI model is recommending taking the Los Angeles Rams over the Vikings on the money line. The third game again follows our original pick, and we recommend taking the Los Angeles Chargers on the money line. The fourth game is identical to our original pick, and the AI model recommends taking Buffalo on the money line. The next game is much the same. The AI model recommends taking Philadelphia over the Packers on the money line. And in the last game, it was statistically irrelevant for our first model. Our AI model shows the Commanders winning by about a touchdown and recommends taking Washington on the money line. So you see there's a bit of a discrepancy there. Basically, two games are in the mix that could go either way. Now, bear in mind that any of these games could go either way. The Steelers could come out strong and beat Baltimore. But in terms of Swami picks, these are the picks that we're going with. I have a parlay play, if you're interested, coming up next. It's an example of how you could play these picks and increase your odds of winning. Before we get to the parlay, I'd like to take the time to thank you all for watching the video, and please ask you to subscribe to the channel, give us a like. It really helps us with YouTube, and we're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers for the season. Now on to the parlay. This example is something we get a lot of questions on, and while we don't recommend betting, we're trying to give you an example of how these picks can be used, and then it's up to you how you want to use them. So in the parlay betting example, we have some discrepancies in our picks with Minnesota, Tampa Bay, Washington, and Los Angeles. So our recommendation would be to play them all. There's only 2 different games. There's only 4 possible combinations. And so an example of a parlay bet is as follows. You would place 4 bets. You would place a bet on all the teams, but use 4 variations. And each of those has a different set of odds, ranging from 9.3 to 16.71. So some are going to pay a little bit differently than others. That kind of gives you an indication of where the confidence is on those matchups. But in this example, we used $100 as an example. If you bet all 4 games for $100, that would be $400 that you bet in total. And on each one of those bets, 3 of them are going to lose and 1 of them is going to win. We just don't know which one will win and which one will lose. The payoffs on those range from $930 to $1,671. So you've got quite a bit of wiggle room in there. But the important thing to know is if one of those hits, you'll win back at least 132% of your money, and it could be higher than that. So this is how to play a parlay using the 2 different models. If you ask me which one I like better, I like the Swami pick model better, but the AI enhanced model is pointing out some of the weak games in the Swami pick model, and therefore you've got to make your own decision on this, on what you'd like to do. I like the different mix-up on parlay games. I think you can come out a winner, and regardless, play to have fun, and we'll see you next week for the balance of the games. And as always, have a great and profitable week.